Hey everybody, good to have you with us here at noon on this Wednesday. I'm Dustin Grove. I want to get right to meteorologist Sean Ash, who's been tracking storms this morning. More to come, and you're pretty concerned about what this system could bring.
Yeah, I do. Not often in my career I get a pit in my stomach when I come to work. Today's one of those days just for the potential of possibly a strong tornado in our viewing area. So just being frank with you, not going to scare you. We're just getting you prepared for the atmospheric potential. And you mentioned those storms earlier. Those were expected, by the way, certainly a rude awakening. Let's show you the latest with live Doppler 13 radar. If you were outside early this morning, or if not, you heard them move through. We call them hailers. They had some pea to marble size and a little bit stronger in some areas. A lot of lightning with them. Clouds are harmless right now. Storms as close as Kankakee, most of the action to our west. 69 right now, 74 in Bloomington. If you recall, we've been forecasting high temperatures approaching 80 degrees. It may not feel that way over the northern third of the state, but it is coming increasingly humid now that the warm front's lifting up toward the Michiana border. Dew points, or the juice for the storms, are climbing into the 60s. So moisture will not be a problem with this. The wind fields are going to be increasingly stronger later today and tonight. You can see the warm sector storms that are going on right now that have prompted a tornado watch. That's what's moving in our direction here. This is the latest, and like we've been saying the last couple of days, I've got the probability of tornadoes with modeled rotation streaks. Don't focus on the exact location. Focus on how many streaks are within the state of Indiana. And in some of those, possibly some strong long track tornadoes. I cannot tell you how many are going to be in the state. No one can. We just have to be prepared for that potential. And that potential can begin early this afternoon. The line itself will come in sometime a little after 5 p.m. and gets over top of the metro area by the time we get toward 8 or 9 o'clock. We'll have more on the hazards and, Dustin, the high flood potential in the days ahead coming up in the forecast.
Yeah, a lot of rain in the forecast as well. All right, Sean, we'll see you soon. To help you keep track of this severe weather, the potential today, all you need to do is download our WTHR Plus. It's a free TV streaming app. You can follow along with our meteorologists as they provide live updates on this storm. This afternoon, we are working to learn how an infant is doing after a serious crash on Indy's near west side. Happened early this morning. You're looking at the scene here in this video near North Tibbs Avenue. Happened around 5:15. 2 cars involved. Police say medics rushed 4 other people to the hospital as well. At last check, they were stable. That little baby was in critical condition. Of course, when we learn more on this, we'll be sure to pass it along. Now to the video going viral involving Indiana Senator Jim Banks. He is now responding. So to catch you up, if you haven't seen this, the clip shows someone confronting Senator Banks over cuts at the Department of Health and Human Services. Watch.
Hi, I was a worker at HHS. I was fired illegally on February 14th. There are many people who are not getting social service programs, especially people with disabilities. Are you going to do anything to stop what's happening?
You probably deserved it.
I deserved it?
You probably deserved it.
I deserved it.
Dude, that's
wow.
So sad.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Why did I deserve it?
Because you seem like a clown.
Okay, sir, you shouldn't have said that on.
I was a worker at HHS. I was fired.
Schroeder, he says he was fired from HHS. Schroeder told NBC News he worked at the department for 4 months. Here's what he said about the interaction.
People with disabilities. Are you going to do anything to stop what's happening?
You probably deserved it.
It seems like he was just caught off guard. So it was really alarming and discouraging to hear that he would say something like that to people who are just giving their time to really serve this country.
Senator Banks shared the video on his social media account saying, quote, "Hard truth." We reached out to Senator Banks' office for comment. He says he fully supports President Trump's mission to eliminate waste. He goes on to say, we'll put it on the screen here, "I went to Washington to decrease the size and scope of the federal government. No one is entitled to a taxpayer-funded job, especially in positions that waste those funds," end quote. Other headlines this noon: the husband of a former Martinsville teacher who was accused of sexually abusing students is now facing charges of his own. Prosecutors say Nicholas Fortenberry knew his wife Brittany was having sex with boys as young as 13 years old. They say he even threatened one of them. Well, now he's charged with intimidation and failure to report. Prosecutors are also filing a motion for 24 additional charges against Brittany Fortenberry. They say they made that request after more parents of alleged victims came forward to police. Investigators say Fortenberry sexually abused at least 10 underage boys. She's due in court in Morgan County tomorrow. New details this afternoon on that police chase yesterday near the Indianapolis International Airport. According to the police report, this whole thing started with a 52-year-old man driving recklessly. Investigators say he rammed fencing around the airport. Then they say he pointed a gun at an officer, led police on a chase, intentionally hit a police car, and refused orders to surrender. Officers eventually used spike strips to flatten that car's tires and then block the suspect's path. They say when he finally got out of the car, he ignored orders. Police eventually were able to take him into custody. Family and friends of a woman killed in a hit-and-run accident are now pushing for justice. Emily Martinez was killed last month while crossing the street to get to the bus stop. The people who knew her best gathered at the scene near Washington and Rural on Indy's east side recently. They say she was everybody's friend. They say they want her to get the justice she deserves.
If you hit somebody, just stop. Just stop, you know? Don't just leave them laying. I mean, she was my best friend. We shared a birthday together. Our middle names are the same. We're the same age. I mean, it's just, somebody's seen something. Somebody knows something.
They are on a mission. Her friends say they will be a voice for Emily as long as it takes to find answers. So far, no arrests have been made in that case. Shoppers nationwide are rushing to open their wallets, making last-minute purchases before what the White House is calling Liberation Day. President Trump's tariffs set to take effect today, and that's putting pressure on some car buyers to beat the clock. Our Alex Almanza is exploring what it means for Hoosiers.
Hours away from what he calls Liberation Day, President Trump is getting ready to unveil his new plan for tariffs. Taxes on imported goods, potentially on every country.
Whatever they charge us, we charge them, but we're being nicer than they were.
And 25% tariffs are set to take effect Thursday on imported vehicles and auto parts. Automakers like Ford saying buyers are already flooding dealerships to snatch up cars ahead of the threat of higher prices.
Now is the time really that these consumers are out here and looking for vehicles before any price changes take effect.
Some of the hottest sellers are vehicles made outside the U.S., and experts at Edmunds, an online car resource, say no vehicle is 100% made in the United States. So even Indiana's status as an auto manufacturing powerhouse won't mean we are immune to the tariffs.
Hoosiers are in for a dramatic increase in car prices if these tariffs stick.
Economists like Philip Powell at the IU Kelley School of Business are hoping that tariffs are just a short-term negotiating tactic.
Economists across the nation are sounding the alarm on a potential recession, a risk that wasn't there before we started talking about tariffs.
Supporters, however, arguing that tariffs will incentivize production in America. In a February post on X, Indiana Senator Jim Banks writing that the tariffs will, quote, bring back fairness and prosperity and stop Americans from being taken advantage of. The challenge, though?
We don't have enough workers. We don't have enough infrastructure. And so this is why it's inflationary.
Meanwhile, given the uncertainty, experts say households and businesses should pull back and conserve cash.
And hopefully, if we get through this crisis, then we can have more confidence in the economy and we can get back to spending like we want to.
That was Alex Almanza reporting. Also today, we're learning that repairs on that broken water main on the east side of Indy are now complete. According to Citizens Energy Group, water pressure should be returning to normal, but there's still some work to be done fixing the road itself near 22nd and Dr. Andrew J. Brown Avenue. Drivers are urged to still avoid this area while crews clean up and repave that stretch of road. It is official. The blue and gold have officially punched their ticket to the playoffs, and they didn't even have to play a game to secure the spot. All it took was Portland defeating Atlanta last night. That game guarantees the Pacers a top 6 seed. Tonight, the Pacers host the Hornets at home at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. They're coming off a close win against the Kings. They're going to try to keep that momentum going Tip-off downtown set for 7 o'clock. And the Pacers aren't the only ones hosting a basketball game here in Indy. Tonight is the Women's Basketball Invitational Tournament final over at Hinkle Fieldhouse on Butler's campus. It's Minnesota versus Belmont. Tip-off in that game will be 6 o'clock.